Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Happy Monday. Topping our newscast last week, Friday, the world was stunned with news of a string of terrorist attacks in Paris that resulted in more than 100 people dead and more injured. The French government has tightened its border and launched retaliatory strikes. Meanwhile, Virgin Islanders also stand in solidarity with the victims of the attack. News 2's April Knight has more.
Residents of Frenchtown were gathered in celebration here in front of the French Heritage Museum on Friday when news of the Paris terrorist attacks that killed more than 100 people broke out. Roy McGrath, who curates the museum, was not there himself, but in a tightly knit community of residents of French heritage, the feeling of devastation spread like wildfire.
The television and on the internet, we were very much aware of it, and people started talking. That's how I first became aware of the tragedy.
On Friday, a coordinated string of 3 terrorist attacks in the heart of the French capital claimed about 150 lives. According to McGrath, residents immediately tied a ribbon around this iconic Eiffel Tower replica as a sign of respect for the victims and their families, and the commemoration is not expected to end there. Like the global community, local residents of French descent also refused to give in to the goals of terrorism, instilling fear and hatred.
I detest the ideology behind what they stand for, but I will not lay down and let them scare me.
But according to McGrath, perhaps one of the most important thoughts that came to his mind after he learned of the attacks was that it was not about religion.
I hate to use the term Islamic because I don't really believe that they are representative of the Islamic faith. I think they're using the Islamic faith as a means of attracting attention throughout the world.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And we will have the latest from Paris in our CNN report. Governor Kenneth Mapp is joining President Barack Obama in honoring the victims of the terrorist attacks in Paris, France. The U.S. flag is being lowered to half-staff at the White House, federal buildings across the country, and American military and diplomatic stations around the world as a mark of respect for victims of the attacks. President Barack Obama ordered the gesture of solidarity with France by proclamation on Sunday, and in accordance with the presidential proclamation, Governor Kenneth Mapp is directing flags at all Virgin Islands government offices and facilities across the territory to be flown at half-staff until sunset on Thursday, November 19th. In other news, firefighters across the territory are brushing up on some firefighting skills as well as learning new ones. This week, St. Thomas Fire Service officers are going through their annual training that should make sure they're ever ready to battle any blaze.
Fire control. It helps us to, when we get to these structural fires, be able to control the fire, not necessarily trying to put out the fire, but actually trying to, maybe if there's somebody down in a structure, that we'll go in there and be able to control the fire to the point where we could go in, pull a person out, and then still, after that, go in and extinguish the fire if that's what's necessary.
In other news, Governor Kenneth Mapp has ordered Acting Attorney General Claude Walker to fire one of his staff, Attorney Laverne Williams, who is also now known as a whistleblower. The main reason for the termination, he says, according to the latest Government House release, was Mills Williams in association with St. Croix attorney Lee Rohn, whom Mapp called a convicted criminal known for consorting with persons who have been convicted on more than one occasion of trafficking in, distributing, and using narcotics and other illegal substances in and through the U.S. Virgin Islands. Mills Williams' final payroll payment was for the period of October 5th, 2015. On Friday, November 13th, Jason Brian Coultier was extradited to the territory from the Orange County Sheriff's Department correctional facility located in Florida after being captured on an arrest warrant for the murder of William Bennett. Bennett's body was found in a large black garbage bag at his residence on December 2nd, 2014. Jason Brian Coultier was formally arrested and charged with the murder of 60-year-old Bennett. Coultier was processed and remanded to the Bureau of Corrections pending his advice of rights hearing. District Court Judge Curtis Gomez sentenced Yamini Potter, 29, of St. Thomas, and Alana Liebert, 34, of St. John, for impersonating FBI agents. Judge Gomez sentenced Potter to 12 months in prison, 1 year of supervised release, and 200 hours of community service. He sentenced Liebert to 30 days of intermittent confinement to be served on weekends, 5 years of probation, and 200 hours of community service. Judge Gomez also ordered Potter and Liebert to pay $6,010 in restitution. In July 2015, according to court records, Potter and Liebert devised a scheme wherein they pretended to be FBI agents and then persuaded 11 individuals to pay them a total of $6,010 in fees to become FBI agents. Also, Judge Gomez sentenced Cherie Morales, 54, of St. Croix, to 12 months in prison and to serve 200 hours of community service, repay $45,426 in restitution to the Virgin Islands National Guard, and pay a special assessment of $2,100. On July 1st, 2015, the jury found Morales guilty of 21 counts of wire fraud. They say from 2010 until 2011, Morales was employed as a full-time employee with the Virgin Islands National Guard on St. Croix. At the same time, she held a full-time contract position with the Military Personnel Services Corporation. Morales submitted timesheets to both for the same 40-hour work weeks over 14 months. On Wednesday, November 11th at 3:13 p.m., the 911 emergency call center was dispatched to the report of a vehicular accident that occurred on the East End Road in the vicinity of Miss B Road on St. Croix. According to the report, a man operating a moped was traveling in an easterly direction and lost control of the moped and ran head-on into a vehicle traveling westbound. Two of the vehicle's passengers and the moped driver were taken to the Louis Hospital by ambulance for treatment and observation. The operator of the moped was later identified as James Jenk, 65, of Alabama. He succumbed to his injuries sometime after 11 p.m. on Thursday. Also, two passengers were pronounced dead at Crown Bay after a boating crash near Water Island Sunday night around 7 p.m. According to VI Rescue, there were about 5 people on a dinghy, and it hit a huge freestanding lit concrete piling that secures larger vessels being docked at Crown Bay. And according to the VIPD, a man and woman were thrown off the boat and drowned. The other 3 were injured. A Good Samaritan brought the occupants to Crown Bay Marina on St. Thomas. VI Rescue, EMS, and DOJ were on site and assisted. The names of the male and female who drowned have not been released pending notification of next of kin. Senator Kenneth Gittens, who's the vice chairman of the legislature's Committee on Homeland Security, Justice, and Public Safety, says the accident comes 2 days shy of a month since several passengers were injured when 2 vessels collided in waters north of St. Thomas. Here's more.
I'm looking at the increasing frequency of these types of accidents and realizing having some personnel and a vessel in the water and on patrol would limit the response time and increase the possibility of saving lives. I've had discussions with the commissioners of the Virgin Islands Police Department and the Department of Planning and Natural Resources explaining my concern. If this last accident has not shed light on the high marine traffic between the islands and the need for emergency first responding agencies to always stand ready for these types of emergencies, then I don't know what else will.
Turn our attention overseas. The U.S. Coast Guard on Saturday called off its search for a woman who went overboard during a cruise ship dance party. Kaylin Rose Summer, 24, of Charleston, had fallen overboard from the Norwegian Pearl cruise ship on Thursday, about 22 nautical miles from Cuba. The Coast Guard said in a statement, it is believed the woman went overboard from a height of more than 80 feet while the cruise ship was underway. A Norwegian Cruise Line statement stated that Summer had gone overboard intentionally. The incident came less than a week after a Brazilian man fell from a Royal Caribbean cruise ship off the Bahamas area. The company said he had gone overboard intentionally. ISIS is warning off more attacks following Friday's massacre in Paris. 129 people were killed, hundreds more are hurt. Now the hunt is on for those responsible. Diane Gallagher is in Paris with an update.
La France est en guerre.
France is at war.
Speaking to a rare joint session of parliament, French President François Hollande promised to destroy the ISIS threat following Friday night's deadly attack in Paris.
Nous ne sommes pas engagés dans une guerre.
We are not committed to a war of civilizations because these assassins don't represent any civilization.
Hollande adds the plans for the attack were hatched in Syria but were planned in Belgium. A series of raids there have led to arrests, but not the surviving ISIS militant police were looking for, Salah Abdeslam. We're learning more about the militants behind the rampage. A source tells CNN two prominent ISIS members, Abdelhamid Aawood and Salim Ben Halem, were the masterminds of the attack and well known to investigators. Overnight, French warplanes bombed the ISIS stronghold of Raqqa, Syria for a second day, taking out a command center, a training camp, and other targets. Now, speaking at the G8 summit in Turkey, President Barack Obama says the U.S. has the right strategy and will see it through.
ISIL is the face of evil. Our goal, as I've said many times, is to degrade and ultimately destroy this barbaric terrorist organization.
Meanwhile, Paris is trying to get back to normal after Friday's massacre. The day started with a moment of silence at Le Bataclan, the theater, where 89 people were killed Friday night. That moment of silence was observed around the world as well. Reporting in Paris, I'm Diane Gallagher.
And keeping our eye on the economy, here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our Stock Market Watch. According to the numbers there, everything up. The Dow 237, NASDAQ 56, S&P 500 also up at 30. Coming up on News 2, cultivating industrial hemp. Should it be allowed in the VI? That was discussed at the Senate. We'll have more. Welcome back. Senator Kenneth Gittens, chairman of the Committee on Rules and Judiciary, is advising the general public of the upcoming working sessions for November in the continued series on election reform. This next working session will be held on St. Thomas, Tuesday and Wednesday, November 17th and 18th at Walkers by the Sea in Lindbergh Bay from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Also, the St. Thomas-St. John District Board of Elections will conduct its board meeting in the Election System Conference Room on Friday, November 20th at 10 a.m. at Lockhart Gardens, St. Thomas. Well, on Monday, the Senate Rules and Judiciary Committee held a hearing at the Earl B. Otley Legislative Building on St. Thomas. They considered some nominations as well as a nursing degree program in UVI's St. Croix campus, but the hot topic was arguably the possibility of industrial hemp production in the Virgin Islands. News2's April Knight has that story.
Members of the Rules and Judiciary Committee met Monday to discuss the possibility of production of industrial hemp in the territory, a controversial topic because of the association of hemp with another controversial product, marijuana. According to bill sponsor Senator Terrence Nelson, it's important to distinguish hemp from marijuana.
This is not marijuana we're talking about industrial hemp. It's been used by many societies for numerous years, and now that American farmers have access to hemp once again, they too are capitalizing on the viability of hemp.
Nelson and other testifiers extolled the many uses and ultimate economic benefits of a thriving hemp production industry in the territory.
Is that this change is intended to allow an environmentally healthy option for building and to circulate within the territory millions, if possibly billions of dollars normally spent off-island.
There are, however, significant legal hurdles. According to Acting Attorney General Claude Walker, the bill goes against federal law and would not be worth pursuing.
We are convinced that the passage of this bill would do more harm than good, and it is not in the best interest of the Virgin Islands.
Legislative Counsel, however, stressed that the federal statutes do not prevent the Virgin Islands from enacting the bill, but it's open to legal challenges on the federal level. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And News 2 will keep you updated on the movement of Senator Nelson's hemp bill through Senate. The Christian-said boardwalk was alive with flavor and fun Saturday afternoon for the annual Callaloo Gumbo cookoff. Sponsored by Crew de Croix, hundreds of eager taste testers crowded the boardwalk to sample the homemade treats by 6 different restaurants and chefs. And a booth was set up for the public to throw a cream pie. Senator Samuel Sanders took the challenge and a pie to the face. Rum Runners took first place in the Gumbo category, with Angry Nates taking first for their Callaloo. Ricky's Delicious took home 3 awards: Showmanship, Second Place, Callaloo, and the People's Choice.
We cook with love. That's our most important ingredient. We like to share our food with people, and we love to see them smile. That's why we do it. We do it for the love. And sharing our taste and the way we do stuff in our culture, we like to bring it to everyone else and share that with them.
Congratulations to all the participants. Well, if you missed the red carpet premiere at last month, this is your chance. An encore screening will be held on Tuesday at the Rycole for Timeless. Doors open at 6 p.m. Showtime is at 7. Everyone is talking about the movie Timeless, a love story. It's the brainchild of writer-director Ed Laborde and executive producer David Edgecombe. It's a major undertaking that took years of hard work. The Virgin Islands-made feature-length film delves deep into the history of the Virgin Islands and showcases some of our VI talent on the big screen. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. National Recycling Day was recognized on Sunday. Gov Map has signed that proclamation. It's an ideal time to refocus efforts on sustainable design and prioritize following green practices. It reminds us that recycling should be part of our daily routine, whether recycling at home, work, school, and in the wider community. It's an opportunity to become familiar with the different waste disposal methods available locally. To help this, we are sharing tips on how people can be better at recycling from Waste Management Authority in our Thursday segment called VI Recycles this entire month. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast comes your way next.